Hi and welcome to Office Fluent. My name is Jan and today we're going to take a look into Excel again. So after the last time when I showed you a big overview of what Excel can do overall, we're taking a step back now and I'm showing you about all the formatting options you have in Excel and about the ways that the Excel intelligence can help you to create files more easily. Let's dive right in. So first things first, what you can do with Excel, what you can do with nearly every system where you can input text by now, is you have these options here. You can change the font, you can change the font size or the text size, you can increase or shrink down the font, you can make it bold, italic, underline. That's the default. As well as fill color and color font. So if I type in hello world, I can make it fat, I can make it bigger or smaller. The fill color is the color of the cell behind the text. And the text color, as you can expect, is the color of the text itself. What you have in Excel, what you don't have normally, is the ability to double underline, which is quite nice, especially if you have a result at the end, you can double underline it, like people learn at school. And you have the ability to create borders, which is very useful later on if you create tables and format them nicely. You can go ahead and have a bottom border or a top border or a thick bottom border, a thick outline border. So you have a lot of options here to make it clear where the table ends. You can also change the border style. So if you don't want a solid line, but a dashed line or a dotted line, you can go ahead. And you can also draw a border. So if you don't want to mark the field before, you can just click on draw border and then select the cells you want the border at and create your table like this. Like in all systems, you can just undo the last step by either clicking on the undo button or pressing Ctrl Z to undo. The next thing you can do, you can see it here, is set the alignment of the text. If I have my hello world here, you can see it's at the moment aligned left and aligned bottom. Now in a cell as big as this, you probably don't really see where the alignment is because the text is still pretty much in the middle. But you can change the size of cells by dragging and dropping between the lines, between the different columns and the different rows. You can see my cursor changes here, and I can drag and drop this line and make the cell bigger or smaller. Or to be more specific, not the cell, but the row and column. Now you can see pretty clearly that this hello world is left aligned and on the bottom. Typically, you don't need the cell to be this big, but you might have a lot of text here in the B line and you have it sized as big as this so you can display all the text, and this hello world needs to somehow align with that. In this case, you could, for example, go with align middle and align middle for a very central point, or you could go with left align and top to have it all starting in the top left corner, like typically text does. So the world is pretty open for you in this regards. You can change this however you want, and in the normal default small cell size, you will probably never see the difference. Regarding the size of the cells, there's another great thing to know. If your cursor changed because you're in the middle and you do a double click, it changes to the perfect size. as long as there is text in there. I can double click here as long as I want. Nothing's not going to change. So I'm changing this manually back. And the same here in the rows, I can just double click to give it the perfect size. There's actually one function in the formatting that is only available in the desktop app of Excel. So I've opened the desktop app just now, and you can see I have this option to rotate the text. I can change the orientation. So for example, I can angle the text counterclockwise to give it a little bit more space, or to bring more text into a smaller width. You can also rotate it completely up, and you can see I can fit a lot more columns now on my screen. If I have only like 1 or 2 digit numbers and I need to display a lot of them, this is one option, but it's also only available in the desktop app. Now there might be situations where you need some sort of word or phrase as a headline for multiple rows or multiple columns. So in this case, there's a function called merge and center. You can take this cell and you drag or you mark a different amount of columns or rows. And then you just click on merge and center. And now these 4 cells became one. This is extremely useful if you have like a headline, like I said before. And if I go back, you can also do this with multiple rows and center these. And there again, you can align these in the middle like this. Now let's get to the really a little bit more interesting point here about the Excel intelligence, or pattern recognition, you could also say. So if you have a cell and you go into the bottom right corner here and you drag the cell into the next one, you can see it just duplicates what's in there. That's the most basic way of duplicating values. Now this is not always working, because sometimes Excel thinks there might be a pattern in here. So for example, if I write a 1 here and I duplicate it, it will duplicate a 1. But if instead I write a 1 here and a 2 here, mark both of them and then drag it, you can see now I get a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is because Excel realizes, okay, probably there is a row of numbers needed. And this not only works with 1 and 2, but if I go with 1 and 3, for example, mark both of them and drag it on, you can see I only get the odd numbers. If we, on the other hand, let's take 2 and 4, not 3, you get all the even numbers. So you can see this way you can pretty easily complete rows, but it only is for a very basic level, like I just showed odd and even numbers. If I just, for example, go with 1, 2, 4, and 8 as a basic, you can see the numbers doubling from each cell to the next one. And I drag this on, you get 9.5, 11.8, and 14.1. And I have no idea what Excel thinks would be the right number here, but it's not what I wanted. So don't expect too much from it, but it can be useful for a variety of things. While we're talking about a variety of things, this not only works for numbers. Let me, for example, write the 1st of May of 2021. You can see when I inputted this field changed from general to date. So Excel realizes, okay, what I've written here is a date. And if I pull this over here, you can see a lot of hashtags. So this is one thing I really need to talk about, because if you get a cell full of hashtags, it just means there is a number in there that can't be displayed because of the size of the cell. So what can we do? We can double click on the rows, or we can go to Format and say Auto Fit Column Width for all of these. And now you can see 1st of May, 2nd of May, 3rd of May, and so on until the 24th, because I stopped there. And now I can go ahead and write here Monday. Monday is general, but that doesn't stop the system from adding the rest of the weekdays. So I can very easily create a weekly plan. So this is one thing you can do with the Excel autocomplete, pattern recognition, AI, however you want to call it. And it's quite useful in a variety of things. This will be everything I have for this week. We will continue next week with a little bit more in-depth look, like I said, going a little bit deeper every week. If you have any questions, any comments, please put them down. And if not, well, I'll see you next week. Please leave a like if you liked it. Leave a subscribe if you want to learn more. It's free. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. See you next week. Bye.